Hi, Ramzi. I hope you're doing well. If you could do me a favor, please go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell us about who you are, what you do, just a little bit.
Okay, so my name is Ramzi Chamoun. I work for Tower Energy Group, and we have a few companies, Tower Energy and the Thermal Club. We are pretty diversified. We own grocery stores with gas stations and delis with foods. And we also have agriculture, over 600 acre of date farms. We're involved in real estate. We own office buildings, including the one we're in and a couple around the corner. And we have a private country club surrounding a racetrack. So we're involved in a lot of industries. I'm the company controller. Um, I'm also the company HR manager, and I call it the GID department, get it done, whatever it needs to get done. So IT, always loved IT, and IT is tightly woven with our business flows, all business flows, and I'm strong believer in automation. And so throughout the years, we handled a lot of business, a lot of transactional volume using a lot of automation and not throwing just bodies at it, processing and keying stuff in. We automate a lot. That's what allowed us to handle a multi-billion dollar business with only 50 people. So we had our own IT department, um, dwindled down to pretty much a couple people at the end during COVID. And our main IT person, who was like everybody else, juggling software programming and hardware fixing and uh, employee customer support, if you will. Um, it was a lot for a couple people to handle. And that person decided to leave right during COVID. So we were at a junction of great opportunity of like, okay, we're trying to hire somebody. We can't find anybody who is as open and willing as this person to handle hardware and software and do programming. So you either have programmers or software people. And so I had a contact, Thomas Lee, who owns and operates IV Computer, does a lot of networking. Um, Funny enough, I know him from fencing. We go to the same fencing club. I've known him for years. Over the years, I called on him to help our IT department because they were stuck with a virus or some ransomware or some major issue. So I called my friend Thomas, like, Thomas, I need help. You could do all the networking. I'm not worried about it, but I
Yeah,
need to continue software maintenance and software development. And we were at the point where we were also migrating to AWS. So I had Thomas came back to me. He's like, "You need to talk to Commerce Pundit." I'm like, "Who are they? Who represents them?" So I was introduced to Kayur. Kayur, we did an interview with Kayur as if we were interviewing a candidate for the job, and I had sat in a lot of interviews with our outgoing IT person who was throwing questions at applicants, and you could tell they didn't know what they were talking about. So everything he threw at Kiyur got it, understood it, had a response, had questions. So it was a very intelligent conversation. So observing the interaction between the two, okay, I think we're heading in the right direction here. So that's when Kiyur told me about Commerce Pundit, his team, etc. And you don't know what you're getting yourself into. The only thing was because they were recommended from Thomas, IV Computer. So we started working with Kayur and his team. First, they had to learn what the systems that we had. And the most pressing issue at the time was keep those systems going before we engage into development. And it did not take them too long to get a grasp on all the issues with the minor calls to the old IT person And we got that rope really fast. We didn't really need to because they had all the brain power, if you will, and the knowledge to understand our systems really fast. That was like phase one. It's like, okay, we're starting to breathe. At the same time, Thomas was working on our network and upgrading things, changing things. And between the two, it was really a great partnership. And we looked, and it took me a lot to convince the owners who are conservative, old school, to have IT people sitting in India while we're sitting here. The only thing that made it easy was that Keyur was in LA at the time. It's like, okay, I don't need to talk to him. I saw him a couple of times and he's a great guy, but all the work is being done. If anything, there's a benefit because if anything happens overnight, you send them a new mission, you walk in the morning, they have a system ready for you to test. I'm like, okay, these guys worked overnight. I don't know how many guys worked on it, but I have my key contact and whoever is working in the background. So it was not painful at all, you know, learning the process. And then after a while, so okay, well, we got the maintenance under control. We're comfortable if something breaks, they can fix it. Then we started like twofold. One, development of new systems, continuing on automation, and two, the migration of existing systems to AWS. And these guys knew AWS. They were extremely comfortable, migrated a lot of systems, um, old legacy systems they had to convert, move over, etc. So we felt really, really comfortable. It's probably been around 3 years since we've been working with them. And between the two systems, Thomas handling the hardware, Commerce Pundit handling the software, it's been, I want to say, a smooth ride. Don't want to jinx it.
That's awesome. Well, thank you for sharing that. And right before you worked with them, what were the main challenge? Was it like, if you can give me 3 challenges or 2 challenges that you were facing before working with Commerce Pundit?
One is finding the time for our internal IT department to develop what we wanted to develop, because they were drowning with responding to daily maintenance and emergency situations popping up. So we could not afford. It was almost a luxury. Development became a luxury, while it is needed to continue staying ahead of our changing environment. That was one of our biggest challenge. The other challenge is being pulled or split between hardware and software and what I call it customer support, but it's really internal to us. This person has a problem with Excel. This person has a problem with the computer. You're pulling an IT developer, a software developer from a development task to have them help somebody who could probably figure things out if they spend some time on Google or doing some research. Let me Google that for you. It was an ongoing joke.
What was the process working with Commerce Pundit, during the process working with Keyur and the team in Commerce Pundit?
During the process, it felt like, without knowing what team is working behind Keyur or Ketan or whoever is handling at the time, it was like whatever you throw at them, they were always willing, and they would turn it around and give you something workable within a week or 2, depending on the complexity of the task. While before them, we were looking at 6 months. It's like, okay, this is going to take me 6 months. Like, wait a minute. And now I throw it at KU, it's like, okay, give me a couple of weeks. Which one's urgent? This one's urgent. Okay, well, let me get back to you in a couple of days. I'm like, really? So yeah, I mean, they have the brain power to deliver. And the best thing about it was like they understand business flow.
Mm,
So it was easy to communicate to Gayur. He's very smart. And I know our business side. I know enough about programming to guide him, and he knows enough of the two and a lot of programming to say, okay, fine, we can do this way, and then we can quickly get to end of job. Even to this day, I have like a few projects that are on hold because of the economy or some of our businesses slowed down. So we have a lot of projects on hold, and I can't wait for sales to pick up so we could start reactivating those things because I know if a project is going to take 160 hours in their world, it's like it's a week or two and it'll be done, move on to the next.
I see.
And we were, I think, one of our biggest achievements working with them, and it's a bit of a proprietary software. The country club, we have, we want to know who's coming into our country club. So the guests are providing their info, but we want to know it's a private community. So who is entering that community? Is it a potential prospect, etc.? And then they put together from the time that person gives their driver's license and they start driving to the property. We have a lot of information that is useful for us that we can use to cater to the guests and their profile because they're high profile caliber guests, and cater to them if they're prospects and we know a lot about them.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that piece because that piece is so important. After working with them in the last couple of years, what is it like after the process, after everything? How does it feel? If you would give it one sentence or two.
A successful endeavor, and it's an ongoing partnership going forward. They're just an extension of our business. They're partners. We don't see each other every day, but I feel comfortable that any problem that pops up, we can tackle it. No problem.
Awesome. Who else would you think Commerce Pundit is for? Who else do you think out there that you think Commerce Pundit as a company would be a great fit for?
I would say anybody who does not want to be at the mercy, any company or entity or organization that does not want to be at the mercy of the oracles of the world and who are trying to be innovative, as long as they have some direction, Commerce Pundit would be the ideal partner to help them develop the systems they need to get where they need to get and compete. And I would even say if you're creating, inventing software applications or certain products that requires a lot of software input, then Commerce Pundit would be an ideal partner to get you where you need to get. So we've talked to them about patents, uh, patents that require their software input, and no problem. We've had a great conversation. We didn't pursue some of those, but there, any company that we're running, there are software development partner, there are automation partner, business flow partner. I mean, some of the estimates we got from them were from building systems from scratch that we can go out and buy on the market. But we feel that if we build it internally with them, we own it, we can tweak it, we can do whatever we want. And
That's
we're
awesome.
ahead of the competition.
That's awesome. Well, thank you for sharing that. Any last words for the person, whoever is listening to this? Any last words you want to say to them?
Commerce Pundit is your partner. I know it sounds cliche, but definitely if you wanna sleep tight, make sure Commerce Pundit is handling your software development and your software maintenance and support.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.